Radio La Chusma.
Hello, everybody. This is Abel Rodriguez, and welcome to Dialogue Internet Radio. And today, wow, can you believe that? One of my podcasts, Dialogue with Abel Rodriguez. I haven't done one in a while, but so many things have been happening on this topic that there was no way that we could not get away with not talking about it. And we're very happy, first of all, to let all of you know that follow us on Dialogue Internet Radio that you remember her. She's been on before, and she simply goes by the name Mojo. And we're really happy to have her on. Very, very well versed on reading stuff and being able to bring it back to light and show, the truth using facts on stuff that, was like, it was under testimony with her hands up. So we're very happy to announce that Mojo has joined us this day, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the topic of abortion. Let's just say it like that. Hi, Mojo. How you doing?
Hi, Abel. I'm angry. That's how I am.
Yeah, I think a lot of women are angry about what's going on right now. I am, look, I'm a Cancer, and part of being a Cancer, a July baby, is understanding women like probably better than any other group of the zodiac does. And I will tell you, all I want to say is that I think you guys should be running everything right now. I wish women were running everything and all these men would just go away for a while and see what would happen.
Your astrological sign is in charge of chicken soup.
There you go.
Chicken soup came from the Cancerian.
There you go. A lot of heart.
Yes. It's particularly disturbing when you realize that, it is a small minority of pretty basically white, rich men who are deciding to turn women into livestock in Texas.
Now let's talk about real quick. Texas has a lot to do with what's going on right now in the regular news media that it twists and spins and curveballs on most of the stories that they do nowadays. But let's talk about the original start of this issue, and and the fights that were going on then, and even when the Supreme Court did Roe versus Wade, I mean, it had taken a lot of hits, in the courts, and had been pretty strong until now.
Because they're really just pretty much totalitarianism, authoritarianism, throwing at the wall and going to do what they want. There is a reason why the Texas Democrats left the state so they didn't have to vote on this crap. I mean, I don't really know. What I can say is that, even the Supreme Court, I mean, Sotomayor is just like, this is completely wrong. She called that court order stunning. How much do you think Justice Sotomayor from SCOTUS, how often do you think that lady gets stunned?
I don't think very much. I mean, I think they've seen everything that you could ever imagine come through the courts, and for her to say that, it's pretty strong statement.
This is an all-out assault and a war on women. There is no exception in this bill for rape or incest. So that means that the 10 or 11 or 12-year-old girl who has been raped by her father or her father, this state of Texas is now demanding and requiring that she carry her rapist or molester's child to term. I mean, this is cruel. It is cruel and unusual punishment. The last bill that they tried to get through to institute the death penalty for doctors and nurses. It's not about the children that are already here. It's not even really about unborn. It is about control and power.
I agree with you. It's always been, and actually now it's like way over the top control and power, depending on what issue it is, next thing you know, they're labeling you a socialist, and yet they're laying down law on like a lot of people about you will do this and you will like it type of situation. It's really amazing, once again, going back to the original Roe versus Wade, I was surprised that it's lasted as long as it did. But you would agree, though, that this is just kind of going along with this idea that some people were chosen by the Almighty to rule over everybody, and they're taking that to heart.
It's called dominionism theology, and Ted Cruz and his father are big fat leaders of it. So yeah, it's dominionism theology where, the white man gets to rule everybody else, women, all other colors of men, creeds, white Christian men get to be in charge. They, we've talked about this before, right? Pilgrims, the Puritans, they get kicked out of Amsterdam. They literally put them on a long boat to nowhere. They get here. They find these abandoned Indian villages because all those Indians had been killed by plague, and the Indians didn't bury their dead and stuff. They had so many dead bodies that these Indians just departed their camps. So the Pilgrims get here and they think that their white divine God has killed all of these people so that they were provided with lodging. Now, that this is who brought us to the dance. That is who brought us here. Those kinds of people. So I don't know what we think we're supposed to be.
You've got it. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I wish we could be more truthful. If we could even be more truthful about, I would be better. But none of these people even recognize that this Puritan ideology, dominionism theory, is just a big fantasy. And I know you're Catholic, so I'm not exactly your stance on abortion, but Catholic, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever. You cannot think it is okay to allow a 10-year-old who has been molested by her grandfather to carry a baby to term and give birth to it. That's crazy to me. It's cruel. It's cruel.
Yeah, it is, and it's also pretty much. How can I say it? I mean, it's just. I think it brings new meaning to over the top. You're going to do what we tell you. I think it goes hand in hand with the cyber ninja BS in Arizona. You got the Proud Boys and the other guys going to show up in Washington, I think, in 2 weeks because they're pissed off that their brothers are still in jail and they consider them American citizen political prisoners. I mean, the mentality right now of what's the middle in society in America is just it's got too many layers when it should just be one flat plywood floor,
So do you know who Charles Lindbergh was?
Yes, I do know who he was.
Okay, tell me what you know about Charles Lindbergh.
He was a pilot, wasn't he?
Okay, anything else you know about him?
He flew across the Atlantic. Did he?
Anything else?
He's Caucasian.
Yes. Anything else?
No.
His baby was kidnapped. You've heard about
that's
the
right. That's right. Now I
kidnapping?
remember. Yeah, it was kidnapped. Yes.
Okay, so another little fun fact about Charles Lindbergh is that he was the head of the America First Party in 1938. So, I spent several decades on this planet always oh, poor Charles Lindbergh. I wonder why his baby got kidnapped. Well, could it be from the people who were afraid of turning America into the, Nazi Western Front? Is that, this has been here a long time. This has been here a long time. Our country is founded and built on the principle that white men are better than everybody else, and the white men know how to run it. This country has been built by white men for white men. It should be surprising none of us that it is working to their benefit the most of all in this society.
Now, people would say that you're really overreaching, that that you can't put them all in the same, tortilla holder.
I'm talking about where we have come from. I'm talking about our founding fathers, white slaveholders, right, who impregnated their black slaves and then didn't claim their children, stuff like that. This is who we come from. I cannot help it. This is not critical race theory. This is true, man. Our founding fathers were slave owners and slave holders. This country was founded on the premise of a white God, and that everybody else got to supplicate to that, and especially Black Southerners who picked all the cotton and produced all the labor in the entire South, built all the buildings, railroads, picked all the cotton, farmed all the food. Now that the whole premise of this was built on the dominance of the white male. And, we are finding out that there are chinks in that armor, because there are chinks in that armor. I'm not saying that that white men haven't really contributed and that we're not better. But, there are some real chinks in that armor. And the days of TikTok, the game is locked. That ain't happening with the internet anymore. We can dig, we can see it. Information passes too quickly, too fast. And, people aren't digging on it. The premise that only white men, that it's a TikTok, the game is locked, that's coming to an end. And I'm telling you, this thing in Texas, literally turning women into, dogs and racehorses for breeding purposes with no choice. This is, I just hope that the women in Texas, I beg the women of Texas to stand up and vote every single Republican out of there. That is the only way to do it, because that whole group, there's something wrong with them. I don't know, Alex Jones screams out, "Oh, it's Satan." But I'm telling you, they're so evil and so cruel and so inhumane that, I sometimes just go, well, hell, maybe they are just demons from hell sent here to ruin democracy, because they're accomplishing it all in the name of the white God they claim is superior to all other gods. This is an old story, man. This
Yeah,
goes back
it is.
ages and
I
ages.
agree with you. It is an old story. And once again, using religion for other means other than, to try to get people to, love their neighbor as herself. They use that line all the time, and yet it's like, well, let's talk about what the neighbor means, and then, another thing, that's happening, and we'll keep going into the issue of abortion. But we're talking with Mojo. She has wanted to come on and talk about the issue of abortion. She's well known on the Dialogue Internet Radio Network. She's been on before, and we're very happy to let you know that hopefully we'll be be able to get something from her bi-weekly to start and get her in here again, because she comes from a very well-educated point of view. She don't mess around. She reads, and she reads from dockets and everything. So she's going to tell you stuff that's basically 100% fact. Correct, Mojo?
I make every effort. I am not a real fan of fake and false news. So most of the stuff I read has been sourced. I get a lot of stuff at like justice.gov, where they're releasing investigations and complaints, I try to go a little deep and say the New York Post.
Yeah, and what can you say about I know you didn't want to talk about it, but we do got to mention how the dividers of the people are not only the politicians, but it's also groups like CNN, like Fox, Newsmax. Now, man, I try to watch Newsmax, but Newsmax is scary.
Why don't you? Well, why don't you? The fourth estate has been bought and paid for by foreign actors like China, like Saudi Arabia, like Russia. Publications like Zero Hedge, right? His daddy, the guy Zero Hedge, his daddy literally comes from KGB, Soviet era, 1980s Russia. So, this is who's feeding us our news. It's Saudi, China, Russia, and they've got big dollars to play around with. Why do you think like Time Magazine wants to run a big 8-page spread about how bitchin' Saudi Arabia is? It's not because Saudi Arabia is so bitchin'. It's because Saudi Arabia's money is real bitchin'. And if they want 8 pages in Time Warner and Time Magazine, they certainly have the millions of dollars to pony it up and pay for it. So that's why you get your little travel tourism in Time Magazine with why look how great Saudi Arabia is, because they pay for it, because that's how they make their money, because there ain't no money in media. It's why you're sitting in the basement of your house not making no money, because there ain't no real money here.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, but you hit me right in the heart, man.
It's true, man. Sorry, I hate to be blunt.
The thing is though, that I got you on, and I think it's important to get your point of view on. So at least on that end, this is unfiltered. This is, anybody. Look, if I was back in media and I said I wanted to put Mojo on, uh, you know, it wouldn't happen. It would not happen.
Oh, I went on KROD with you guys. I can be.
No, yeah,
more
I know you
calm.
went on, but to put you on the mic as the main shower head, that. I mean, I put a Black Panther on. He lasted 12 days. 12 days, Victor Houston lasted. And he's still around. He's still around. He's on Facebook and that kind of deal.
I sure would like to see Victor Houston and a bunch of his Panther friends hop out of a couple black trucks in Portland with the Proud Boys, see if they really wanted to, see. I wonder what side the Antifa would pick. Do you think the Antifa would go side with the Panthers, or do you think they would just run away?
Well, let's put it to you this way. I mean, if there was any group in America that was shot at a lot, it was the Black Panthers. Not only that, I mean, look what happened in Detroit. The Detroit police had planes flying over the black neighborhoods, dropping bombs on them.
Well, I do not expect black people to pick up my slack as a white female American here, because they've done a lot of picking up for all of us, right? But I'm just surprised that there hasn't been a more militant group of black males. But a lot of the black males I know, they're scared to get stopped by a cop at a traffic light. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just surprised that more black men have not banded together and tried to go roaming in groups like the Proud Boys and the Antifa have. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I will tell you that there are large groups now. I think it's the Black Gun Owners Association is what they go by, and I mean, look, Victor Houston, he would get in trouble and thrown in Facebook jail for putting up, armaments or machine guns or all that kind of stuff. And he would always talk about starting a well-armed militia. And people would say, look, that brother's crazy, and what is he talking about, man? This is what happens in revolution when he says it, but when the Proud Boys are around, the Jews will not replace us. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, go ahead.
The Black Panthers also had and do have, like I said, I am not current on my Black Panther history or anything. The Black Panthers did things like community responsibility, food kitchens, feeding the poor, bringing in, doctors to do vaccinations to neighborhoods.
Oh my God, what a surprise.
And the Proud Boys, they are basically coming from a very misogynistic, dominant power, greed, one of them 7 deadlies. That's where those people are coming from, in my opinion.
Right. So, then let's turn it right back to the abortion issue and how what happened was the state of Texas, they
in the middle of the night.
Right, exactly. This is off the Texas Tribune, okay? Governor Greg Abbott signs into law one of the nation's strictest abortion measures, banning procedure as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. Okay, that's the banner on this one, and it goes on to say, Governor Greg Abbott signed into law Wednesday, I think it was last Wednesday, a measure that would prohibit in Texas abortions as early as 6 weeks before some women know they are pregnant, and opens the door for almost any private citizen to sue abortion providers and others. The signing of the bill opens a new frontier in the battle over abortion restrictions as first of its kind legal provisions intended to make the law to block where they were intended to make the law harder to block are poised to be tested in the courts, and probably for a long time. I just editorialized in that part, but it goes, abortion rights advocates have promised to challenge the new law, which they consider one of the most extreme nationwide and the strictest in Texas since the landmark Roe versus Wade decision. It would amount to an outright ban on abortions, as the 6 week cutoff is 2 weeks after a missed menstrual cycle, opponents say. So the women would never know they were pregnant and make a quick decision because they wouldn't know in the 6 week. Uh, it wouldn't, right? It wouldn't work.
Well, like, let's discuss a couple situations where women cannot have this happen. Like, we have preeclampsia, and preeclampsia is a condition that can only occur during pregnancy. As a woman's blood pressure to spike, it ultimately can lead to strokes and death. And the only way to stop this is to end the pregnancy. It can occur at the age of the pregnancy, although it's most common after week 20. And the earliest a baby can live outside the womb is 24 weeks, and then only has a 20% chance of surviving. So, these procedures would be classified as abortion, and the woman would die. There's cancer. A woman cannot receive cancer treatment while she is pregnant. There are certain treatments, certain kind of cancers that you cannot be pregnant while doing this. So what do you do with a woman? Do you wait for 3 months until you finish your pregnancy, until the baby gets to a stage where you can take some kind of chemotherapy or some kind of treatment? What do you do there? Instances like these, the women don't even, we just, it's screw you, sorry. You're 14 weeks pregnant and you find out you have cancer. What are you going to do? Here in Texas, what you're going to do is you're going to go to New Mexico, or you're going to go to Mexico, or you're going to go somewhere else if you have the money and the means to do it, which I promise you that the 10, 11, 12-year-old girls raped by their grandfather and pregnant, they're not going to have the means and the ways to go get any kind of abortion services at all. And then, we could, of course, discuss the infant mortality rate here in Texas and how we are dealing with the already born children compared to the unborn, because this is not a issue of children, because if we cared about the children, we would take care of the ones that were here right now. And Texas infant mortality rates would be non-existent if it was all about the children, but that is not the case.
Yeah, you make a good point there. Hey, you're going to have it, and then after that, the person's like, well, how am I going to feed it, and how am I going to clothe it, and how am I going to raise it, and all that stuff.
The politicians who voted for this Texas abortion ban, the most restrictive one in the country, they also voted against gun reform, against expanding access to contraception, and against Medicaid expansion. And more than half the births in Texas are covered by Medicaid. So this leaves a backlog so long that some pregnant women can't even have their first prenatal appointment until well into their second trimester.
Wow. So this is what our governor said about what he signed into law. It says here, quote, okay, I'm quoting, "Our Creator endowed us with a right to life, and yet millions of children lose their right to life every year because of abortion," Abbott said in a bill signing ceremony, captured on videos posted on social media. The legislature worked together on a bipartisan biased basis to pass a bill that I'm about to sign that ensures that the life of every unborn child who has a heartbeat will be saved from the ravages of abortion.
Okay, let's talk about that heartbeat for just a minute, right? Because we really need to stop calling it a fetal heartbeat law. It should be called an embryonic cardiac vibration law. Say that 5 times for embryonic cardiac vibration law, because it's not considered a fetus. It's the 10th week of pregnancy, which is the 8th week from conception. And it's not actually a heartbeat, because in the 6th week of pregnancy, 4th week from conception, an embryo does not have a developed heart or brain or spine. It's a cluster of cells that can be detected vibrating or pulsing. It is not doing the work of a human heart, and it's a weird, completely non-medical goalpost with no connection to the start of personhood. It might feel significant to someone wanting a baby, and I can understand that, but it is not science. Its main significance to a potential mother depends entirely on the circumstances surrounding the pregnancy. To want a heartbeat and hear one is a beautiful thing, just like peeing on a stick that says you're pregnant is magic. This is just bullshit.
You make a good point. And I go back once again to all these children that are going to be born because of this law, and unfortunately, might have
How
been.
about how about all the women who can potentially die because of this law? How about that? How about let's quit worrying about the unborn, when we do not care about the ones already here. These are grown up, sentient, grown up, generally we're hoping grown up people if they're pregnant. Now, sometimes they are not. Sometimes they are children that are raped and molested, usually by family members. But, and in most instances, women seeking these services are grown up women who know what the hell they're doing, and to imagine that in the cases where they are not grown up women, to imagine that there is a group of people that want to make a 10-year-old suffer and carry to term a baby that her grandfather put there is sick and cruel and unusual punishment.
No, you make a good point. There's so many layers to this. You know what I mean? And I got to tell you, it's just I think it's already somebody's already started a court proceedings already about trying to challenge the law, and I I don't know what to, I don't know what to say anymore.
If you are sued as a driver or something like that, you cannot even, they've written this law so that you can't even recoup your very own attorney fees. And you have to pay the people's attorney fees that are suing you for taking your kid to get an abortion.
We're talking with Mojo here on the Dialogue Internet Radio Network on my show, Dialogue with Abel Rodriguez. She is letting us know how she feels about the abortion issue, and of course, front and center on all news levels, the state of Texas with the law that dropped the jaws of a lot of people.
How many abortions do you think Ken Paxton has had to pay for? I mean, he does have that life, but I gotta imagine that man has probably got girls pregnant along his road to fame.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to defend, men. It sounds ridiculous. Some men will say I have needs. Some men will say I have needs. Some men will say I have urges.
Hey man, sometimes,
the man is the guy that goes out to procreate, right?
Sometimes there's abstinence. Sometimes your pill doesn't work. Sometimes the condom breaks. Sometimes accidents happen. Sometimes there's complications. Sometimes there's rape, molestation, and incest. But for white men like Ken Paxton and Donald Trump and Stephen Miller, do you even know about Stephen Miller and what's going on and what they did with the Georgia ICE migrant detention, where they were literally ripping out the uteruses of migrant women? Do you know about this?
Okay, bring us to speed.
2019, man. Google it up. 2019. We have 500 emails with Stephen Miller and the head of Homeland Security. They are literally ripping the uteruses out of detained migrant women in the ICE facility in Georgia. We had a whole bunch of congresswomen who went up there, screamed and hollered. Google up ICE Georgia uterus women.
Well, Stephen Miller is a
douchebag.
Yeah, he is. But the thing is that I think he needs to pay for his positions.
This is a crime against humanity. Forcibly, without consent, removing the uteruses from detained women is a crime against humanity. And, does media really want to get to? Look, Abel, I can see Abel looking at it right now. Are you reading this right now?
No, I'm looking at some of his Twitter crap.
Why more media hasn't been like, hi, Donald Trump and his buddy Stephen Miller have been, committing crimes against humanity against detained women. This is no big deal. You know why? Because it's just women. Who cares? Big deal. We're just livestock. We're just cattle. We're just part of the breeding program here.
Well, it's interesting. This is a day ago on Twitter from Stephen Miller at at Stephen M on Twitter, and it goes, for 1 week in one state, babies have been safe in their mother's womb because of a Democratic statute. For 49 years in 49 states, unborn babies have been and remain totally defenseless because of an undemocratic fiat, right? Fiat.
Fiat, yes.
Yeah.
Like fiat currency.
So it says, yeah. Why is the former the subject of media outrage, but not the latter?
Well, somebody needs to ask him why it's okay to rip the uteruses from migrant women. Not only did he separate them from the children that they already had, he made it so they can never have any more. That guy can zip it.
Well, in any other country where the politics, was always involved with espionage and trying to wipe each other's political party out, I think this guy would already be offed.
I've been listening to a fabulous podcast called The World Beneath by Lincoln's Bible. I love her. That's where I get all my mob dirt. And she discusses Meyer Lansky. She discusses Meyer Lansky, and he is at this rich socialite's house, and up pulls like Goebbels or Himmler, I don't know, up pulls like some big Nazis, right? And Meyer Lansky, Jewish mobster, which in itself was a feat because, you had to like have some Sicilian Jews to be big in that organization. Meyer was going to kill him. Meyer was going to kill those guys and perhaps change the course of history as we know it forever. But the blonde little socialite who invited the Nazis to her house for dinner begged Meyer Lansky, please don't kill them. It would be rude to kill Nazis at my dinner party. Meyer Lansky should have shot them in the face. And I have to wonder why he didn't. And, then you start looking at organized crime and the tail of the tape. The mob killed Archbishop Ferdinand Franco, which began World War I, right? You have to understand that. This is a big deal. In this World Beneath, she goes all the way back to this chick named Elizabeth Friedman. She's basically the mother of cryptography and the National Security Administration, because we had nobody to translate that Zimmerman telegram. The British had to do that for us, and the British called us up like, yo, dudes, Germany and Mexico are plotting against you, little dudes. And the Zimmerman telegram basically told Mexico, hey, Mexico, if you come fight with us in World War I here in Germany, we're going to give you Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Utah, Nevada. They were going to give Mexico back a huge chunk of America. And the message got intercepted. And, anyway, the mafia killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand on accident in something like Sammy the Bull has talked about from his generation. It's the same patterns, the same methods, the same operations.
Right.
And that's another podcast. Have you seen any of the Sammy the Bull podcasts?
No, I have not.
Woo, dude, that is absolutely fabulous, incredible. That guy, he's dying for one thing, right? I mean, he's got cancer, he's dying, he's lost all his teeth in prison, he's lost all of his hair. And Sammy the Bull Gravano is spilling the tea. And he's just laying it out. He's just saying, this is what happens. This is how it goes. He talks about the hit on Paul Castellano, how he had his guys put on their little Russian hat. Why would Sammy the Bull Gravano, mobster extraordinaire in New York City, why do you think that guy? You think that guy did anything that day without planning? That guy on purpose went and bought a bunch of Russian hats and put them on his hitman and said, kill the biggest boss in the world. Kill the biggest boss in America. Kill him with your little Russian hats on. Why do you think he did that? Think that was just chance, coincidence? Think Sammy was being funny? This is all mobbed up mafia crap, has been for a long, long, long time.
See, people don't realize that behind, all the pomp and circumstance of patriotism, there's a lot of dirty laundry.
Dude,
just like, for example, I'll just bring it up now. Mojo does not like to share her image of herself because she talks with a very pointed tongue, and some of you guys would want to, go converse with her, maybe not in a nice way. So
There's a
that's
lot
why.
of there's a lot of misogyny, a lot of stalking. It is difficult to be female, and now here in Texas, they've made it that much more difficult. It's scary. It's horrible. I mean, women have been relegated to the status of show dogs and racehorses, breeding stock. That's it.
Well, so let's dive into that a little bit. Maybe we can finish up on it and finish up with our thoughts. But one of the things about you saying that is the fact that let's face it, some young ladies want to get ahead as fast as they can, and they become models, and then agencies put them in a certain light, and
Oh, you mean agencies like Donald Trump's agency or
even
John Casablancas' agency, where they
advertising
send in
agencies.
13-year-olds, tell them they'll get famous and put them in underwear and then send them on private jets to 50-year-olds. That kind of modeling agency?
Well, no, that's part of it. But even in the mainstream, the way they show women, as far as they still do sex symbols. You got Sports Illustrated with their swimming suit issue, which
Dude,
really,
look where
is
this
not
comes
even.
from.
There's no more swimming suit left.
Look where this comes from. Lex Wexner, owner, Limited, owner, Victoria's Secret, patron to Jeffrey Epstein, extortionist, blackmailer, sex trafficker extraordinaire, Jeffrey Epstein. So you ask me about these modeling agencies. These modeling agencies are a honeypot to get young, naive girls into sex trafficking and provide old, gross, mostly white men with little girls who will suck their dick.
Like I said, Mojo is unfiltered, and I believe in all types of content. What we're doing right now in the social media realm is we're making content, and it's up to you.
Oh, don't be scared just because I use the word dick. I could sugarcoat it. What would you like me to say? After insertion of their penis, impregnation might be possible. No, man. Don't even talk to me about these modeling agencies that people like Jeffrey Epstein own and run. They're sex trafficking operations on a global scale. And, if you listen to some people, read some history, you know it, you see it.
So who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein? I can tell you who didn't. I say Hillary did not kill Jeffrey Epstein. I'm willing to say that, at least.
How about Hillary's husband?
No, I don't think. Jeffrey Epstein got killed on Bill Barr's watch. So, there is that.
Oh, that's a good connection.
I really kind of believe that Jeffrey, now Brodin, that autopsy guy, but he's all been corrupted and money hungry. I kind of think that Jeffrey might have killed himself, man. I saw a show on one of the, like a 5-story prison in New York or somewhere, and like they're talking to you from the toilet, And if you are Jeffrey Epstein and your little cell and your toilet is all like, kill yourself, Jeffrey. Kill yourself, Jeffrey. So I don't know. It was either he killed himself or the guards killed him. That's the simplest explanation. The guards, taking a nap, cameras off, blah, 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 it either Jeffrey killed himself or in El Paso, like we say, something happened.
Hey, we have our own legends. You bring them up. They went national. The Chagras,
Hey, my stepfather worked as a criminal defense attorney for them until he decided he wanted to take another fork in the road.
Wow.
And but
you're the one that always talks about the mafia running parallel with anything that's government. You always thought, and you know what? When something is parallel, you don't notice it. You know what I mean?
That's why Lincoln's Bible calls her podcast "The World Beneath." She lays it out for you. She's a screenwriter, right? So their job is to world build. As a screenwriter, you're not going to have a decent movie or a decent screenplay if you haven't built some of that world. You can't just like flip some character and like have the audience love them and care about them. You have to build a world for your characters. And Lincoln's Bible is a fabulous, fabulous world builder. And she goes, like I said, she goes back to World War I with the black hand of the mob when they took out Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Right.
You know, she starts there, moves it all up. We hit like 1938 with Meyer Lansky and Al Capone and that whole group of mobsters, and she moves it right up. And she tells this tale beginning with this heroine, Elizabeth Friedman. And she was really smart. And it's like, whatever it is, 1917, 1914, 18, whatever it is, right before World War I. Have you ever heard about the Shakespeare folios, Abel? Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
There's a weird thing. It's not true, right? But there was a thing that said that, like, Shakespeare had been plagiarized, or that Shakespeare wasn't really Shakespeare. And they were all these people, all these code breakers trying to crack all these codes. And anyway, Elizabeth Friedman, it's like 1918, whatever. And she's like 23 years old. She has already been a principal of a school and she got bored with it. She was just very uber super smart. So at 23, she'd already pretty much reached the pinnacle of where she could be. You know, she, like I said, she was principal of school at 23. So she went off to go try to join up with the FBI or CIA or something like that. And she gets drafted basically by this rich, crazy guy who has these folios and wants to see if she can crack this code. Well, the Zimmerman telegram comes and the United States government comes knocking on this rich guy's door. And he's like, hey man, do you have anybody who can crack this code? And he's like, let me introduce you to Elizabeth Friedman. And she cracked every damn code in this country from that time until she retired like 50 years later. And Lincoln's Bible weaves Elizabeth Friedman through all of this history, all of these gangsters, all of this stuff. And it's fabulous. It's really, really, really good. It's really well done.
Well, Mojo, also, first of all, I'm inviting you back. I think we could even do next week sometime, just like this, invite you back because I know you wanted to talk about what happened in Afghanistan. And also, it's interesting relationship to a movie I believe you told me about.
Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts.
Right, and you know, I want to talk about that, especially with everything that's still going on. I think it'd be a good subject to talk about. I'd like you to go ahead and give us some of your closing thoughts on abortion and. I mean, it's just starting in the courts again. It's going to be tested all over the place. But the main thing I've gotten out of you is how, I'm sorry, but I call them Caucasian males. You know, let's call them what they are. You know, they seem to still think that they can rule till the end of time.
Well, the thoughts I'd like, you know, this is what I will leave you with: forced birth. You know, forced birthers acting like they're pro-life, that is absurd beyond belief. So forced birth is slavery, right? This is really, really, really bad for women. You know, I hate all of these handmaid references that you see now, but you know, forced birth is slavery. If you are going to not allow women the right to their own body autonomy, you know, you open the door for a lot of other bad things to happen. You know, if you have no right to your own body, if somebody else's body, whether it's a body inside of you or a body outside of yours, if somebody else's body trumps yours, let's say you're the perfect match for, I don't know, Donald Trump needs a bone marrow transplant and you are his perfect match. This allows Donald Trump and his minions to come grab your ass up and take you away and siphon your bone marrow out because you are the perfect match for Donald Trump. So, you know, I hope to God that Texas women in particular, that women across America, please stand up, vote no to every single Republican at every opportunity. They want to, it's cruel. It's unusual. They want to punish us. They want to kill us. And it's a war on women. So, forced birth is slavery.
Well said. We've been talking with Mojo, and as you can see, she goes ahead and doesn't want to show herself because she's comes from a very big well of information, and when somebody puts it out there, people notice and they want to know who you are. So hopefully, Mojo, next time we can put a picture of your favorite pet, or no, maybe they could trace your pet. Never mind, some sort of image to put up there instead of. But you know what I like about the way you put it, right? Your square is black and white. Mojo, I like that. Hey, listen, thanks for coming on. We'll have you again on next week talking about Afghanistan. And we want to thank everybody that was listening and watching. And once again, this has been Dialogue with Abel Rodriguez. I'm Abel Rodriguez. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
Para que la gente grita, grita, grita. Para que la gente brinca, brinca, brinca. Para que la gente entienda la mezcla de la música estilo Rasta Mexica. A new reggae rhythm you can bounce to, with the cumbia en corrido from the old school. Y no babosada como el reggaetón, cargamos la palabra para todo el montón. Mensaje positivo que cantamos en Spanglish, en English, en Spanish, it's a border tongue sandwich. Para que la gente grita, grita, grita. Para que la gente brinca, brinca, brinca. Para que la gente entienda la mezcla de la música estilo Rasta Mexica. Misma cosa de ascending en la cocina. Yo lo hecho de todo cuando haga mi comida. Tambores de África, guitarras españoles. Yo como mi hamburger con arroz y frijoles. Sangre indígena, respeto a la tierra, viviendo en armonía con la naturaleza. Para que la gente grita, grita, grita.